All right, I call the village board meeting on March 11th, 2026. I got 6:33. Can we do a roll call?
Trustee Beal,
Here.
trustee Quinn,
Here.
trustee Baum,
Here.
trustee Moonen,
Here.
village president Gerke,
Here.
and administrator Green.
All right, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next are citizen comments. So I think at a previous meeting we had talked about the judge coming and giving a presentation, and I don't know if there was a miscommunication or we just didn't get it on the agenda, but if you just want to take up the, you can make it in 3 minutes, that'd be great. And if we have any questions as board members, we can certainly provide those to the court and they'll be back in touch with us.
Well, Tom, thank you for letting me make a short presentation. If I talk about 3 minutes, President, just give me the run. But I appear every year. Usually my agenda is pretty much the same thing. I passed out an annual letter that I mailed to the village president. Highlight of that letter is that this year we have the village of Palmyra that will be joining our court. They start May 1. We have a convenient time slot for a number of Friday court dates, so they'll fit right in. That's good for the whole court because that's more citations. We collect a portion of the citation for our budget. I also set forth a budget that basically was $409,000 last year. Because of all the citations that were paid, we were able to meet our budget. I attached the back sheet of in the letter, a pie chart, which is the breakdown of all the money that I distributed, because people always ask me, and my coach used to tell me, Judge, don't talk about money. But I found out when I started doing this, that the village presidents and boards, they want to know about money. So what happens with the fines that are paid? About 40% that public goes to your municipality. The last sheet it passed out is called fines by municipality. You look under the village of Lisbon, that shows your revenue for last year of about $65,000. It's about where you were the year or two before, so you're consistent. And the 3 minutes. So any other questions, give me a call, or you can always call my clerk. We're expanding, we're 22 now members. One last item is that we are the 4th largest municipal court in the state, which is pretty impressive. We're only behind Madison, Milwaukee County, obviously, Dane County, and Mid-Moraine, which is a little bit north of us. But otherwise, as far as number-wise, citations and revenue, that's where we're at. Well, we do a good job. 4 clerks, they work hard. 2 full-timers, 2 part-timers. They cross-train each other, so 1 in 6 rotation. You don't miss a beat. So, first run of fine. You guys are making money. Any other questions? Give me a call or call my clerk. She's got the hard questions. I was getting some easy ones.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And yeah, we'll be sure to get you on the agenda next year, whether it's late this year or early next year.
I have a new secretary. She told me to be here today. That's okay. Thank you.
All right, yep, thank you. All right, so we'll continue with citizen comments. So the way that this works is that now everyone has up to 3 minutes to make any comments that they would like. If you come on up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. There won't be back and forth. You can just present your comments. If you're here for an item agenda that we discuss later tonight, you will not have an opportunity to talk during that item. So if you wish to provide any thoughts or comments, now is the time to do so. Would anyone like to make a comment? Come on up, Joe. again, if you could start with your full name and address for Dan to take down.
Joseph S. Stefano Senior. I live at North 91 West 27279 Hickory Road. And I'd be all in favor for allowing UTV ATVs on the roads. You would join us with Merton, Town of Merton, Aaron, Richfield would be all connected right there. That we'd access to get to it. Germantown passed it now. Slinger, they just have to get their signs. Slinger passed it. They have their signs, they're just waiting for the ground to thaw. It's a great family deal. Sunday, we take off from my son's house there. He's right on Merton on Q. Then we went riding around up in the Holy Hill area, looking for deer, just riding around. We love it. We take our grandkids. It's great to do and patronize the taverns and all the restaurants out here, just like the snowmobilers do. Just a great hobby. And I got a 4-seater with air conditioning and heat. I'm willing to take anybody that's never rode, and I'm willing to take anybody for a ride. But we live in the country, and it just would make you really feel more country living. So, thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Name is David Woyak. I actually live in the town of Merton, member of the Okachi ATV Club. So basically I live on Marshall Drive, and the bordering road is, I believe, a village road because it's Center Oak from Plainview Road back to where it makes the bend going back west. And that's the bordering road. I don't know if the town of Merton has it posted 10 tons, so I don't know if the town of Merton took over that road, but I know our routes end at the end of my road on Marshall Drive. I posted signs actually. It says end route. It says end route also around the corner on Center Oak Road. So me being from the town of Merton would love to see the village of Lisbon open up the roads, and would the club, I'm sure, would be willing to help out anyone that's interested in getting this project going. But myself, I've got 3 houses to drive past to get from my house back into the town of Merton, which is kind of ridiculous. So I'd like to see Center Oak for sure get opened up for safe and legal travel on UTVs. And that's fun. All I got to say about that. I'm willing to help out any way I can.
All right, thank you, David.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Just the fact that you're here is obviously speaks to it, but if you have any other thoughts, this is the last chance.
We have somebody on Zoom that wants to speak.
Is that
All right,
Guy or is that
Guy. All right, go
Good
ahead.
afternoon. This is Joe Osterman, North 51, West 24181, Lisbon Road. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Excellent. I am just speaking in favor of the ATV UTV ordinance. I think it would be a great addition, especially for the northern half of our community. The UTVs today are almost cars. They're very close in size and capabilities, and I would like to see it progress to the next steps. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
That's Guy.
Guy. Okay.
Guy from.
He's the only one on Zoom right now, or only one?
If anybody else would like to speak who is on Zoom, use the raise hand function. No one's raising their hand.
All right, anyone else here in the audience? Last chance. All right, then we will move on to the consent agenda. I had just one small item to change, just a technical change on the grinder pump up 0.6, just a technical change from 50.
It's changed.
Okay, so I'm not sure if everyone else
There's
saw
5
that.
copies in the.
Okay,
Yeah.
so just to correct it to more than 50% is the only technical change I have there. Is someone want to make with that change? If someone wants to make a motion on all 3 of these, or change or pull one of these out? Is there a motion then to approve the consent agenda items?
Some move with changes.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries 5-0. Item 5A on our accounts payable is to authorize payments of the one-click bills dated February 25th in the amount of $2,134.66. I think that's self-explanatory.
So moved as presented.
All right, is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries 4-0. Item 5B is to authorize payments of the remaining bills dated February 25th in the amount of $581,922.66 and March 6th for $79,660.87.
Top five expenditures for February 25th are $187,179.67 to the city of Pewaukee, $153,576.13 to US Bank Corp., $139,977.50 to Wisconsin Kenworth, $20,362.30 to Fourth Infrastructure, and $16,143.76 to Village of Sussex. And February 6th, top expenditures, $21,587.95 to Kunkel Engineering, $14,007.13 to Premier Building Inspections, $9,830.20 to Waukesha County Treasurer, $9,468 to Architecture and Planning, and $7,680.76 to Network Health.
All right, with that additional information, is there a motion on this item?
So moved.
Right.
Second.
Motion was made to approve, seconded. Is there any discussion, any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries 5-0. Item 6, we have announcements and correspondence. The Easter Egg Extravaganza is coming up on Saturday, March 28th from 12:30 to 2 at the Lisbon Community Park. Always a well-attended event. The Public Works and Utility Committee meeting will take place on Wednesday, March 25th at 5:30 at the fire station. So that's a change in location and time for your Public Works.
That's due to the combined,
Right, but that. what time
That's
do you
change
normally-
in time and.
usually
location.
meet next Wednesday, 5.
Okay.
We're gonna combine it.
So then after that meeting, then we'll roll into the joint public hearing and plan commission meeting. Tentative, it will happen no earlier than 6 o'clock, also at the fire station. And then the joint public works and utility and plan commission meeting at 6:30 at the fire station on the 25th. Anything else to clear up on that? That's pretty.
Those are just the minimum start times, so just so people know, the Public Works Committee will probably go longer than a half hour. The Plan Commission most likely will go longer than a half hour. So those are just minimum start times.
So we won't start any earlier than those.
Correct.
The spring election on Tuesday, April 7th, at all the polling locations, statewide election from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. The Parks Committee meeting next Parks Committee meeting is Wednesday, April 8th at 5 o'clock here at the Village Hall. And then the next Village Board meeting is the same night, 6:30 at the Village Hall. Did I miss any announcements or correspondence or dates we should be noting?
No, I was just going to say, knowing the Parks Committee, all board members are invited. And it's the day from 12:30 to 2 to help give out candy to all the kids.
I know that I'll be there and.
I'll be there.
I'll be
there.
Nice.
We'll be at the table. Yeah.
Mhm. That's a song.
All right, item 7 is a minister report, Dan.
Sure, just heads up, I'm sure everyone is aware, but Jasmine from our office got a job for the village of Shaniqua as their clerk treasurer. So her last day was like last week Thursday, so whoever got a chance to stop by or give her a call, appreciate that. So Strand, Nick and I met with the Village of Sussex to go over the water expansion project. I thought we had a good meeting. Their administrator drafted a memo of understanding, which will be part of our municipal agreement that will address any water, who's paying for water, who's paying for improvements, who's responsible for what. So that has been drafted and sent to me today. I will review it, and then we'll get it to the attorneys to review. And we did send out a letter to Village of Pewaukee for water request for water service. I have not gotten a response from Pewaukee yet, so I'll be following up with them tomorrow. And we'll have to go through the same process with them most likely, and determine where they can provide it, and how. So we've been working with Nick on updating prices for loan amounts, and so we'll probably be seeing those the first steps to get that borrowing process underway in April and May meetings. And since the baseball diamond is very near completion, we did reach out to Junior Chargers. They did send a check, so that's on the way too, as part of the donation agreement. So and then still just kind of getting back on my feet from vacation, but yeah, moving along. So
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to new business. Have 3 items here. Early on, I know the majority of people here were here to hear about item C. Is that still the case? Most people are here about the ATV UTV thing. Kind of a show of hands. Yeah. All right. I think we only got one person. Sorry, John. If it's okay to move item 8C ahead to the next item, is that fine with everyone?
Sure.
All right, so this is a discussion only on the draft ordinance verbiage to allow UTV, ATV usage on village roads. So again, no action will take place tonight, but this is a discussion item for tonight. Dan, do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, I think there's been some interest in having ATVs and UTVs utilize village roads for use. We since then reviewed a couple of different policies or different ordinances from neighboring communities. We looked at Richfield, we looked at Pewaukee, I also looked at Summit. And what is in front of you is probably closer to Summit's, Summit and Pewaukee's. It seemed to read a little easier and kind of met the standard for what the village is looking to do if the board is looking to do it. So some of the key highlights in this is route access, and you can read from my report that was submitted with this, but ATVs and UTVs would be allowed on a village maintained roads. They would not be permitted on county or state highways. Although crossing those highways is permitted under Wisconsin law. So if you have a road that cuts through VB, you can still cross it. Required signage, start and end route signage would be required, consistent with state statutes. The Lisbon DPW would have authority to temporarily close ATV routes in emergency situations such as snow, storms, asphalt issues, whatever. Operator requirements, operators must be at least 16 years old, must hold a valid driver's license, wear protective gear as also required under state statutes. Traffic compliance, ATVs and UTV operators must obey posted speed limits and all traffic control signs, just as any other motor vehicle. There was some discussion about following speed limits or having a required maximum speed. The board may choose to adjust the ordinance to better suit local needs. One area of consideration is speed regulation. For comparison, the city of Pewaukee sets a speed no higher than 25 miles per hour for ATVs and UTVs, while Summit allows up to 35 miles an hour. I think the difference is Pewaukee's ordinance is kind of tailored to lake areas. So I think they're looking at access to Lake Pewaukee as opposed to access to rural road, country roads. While Summit's probably a little closer to what we would use them for, but just keep in mind higher speeds mean increased noise on pavement. And does raise some safety concerns, especially with, maybe not with the UTVs, but maybe with the ATVs when you get those to higher speeds. So I presented the ordinance, and if you guys have any questions or concerns.
I'll start with my brief comments and then kind of let everyone else go. But I mean, this was so I've been approached by, well, I think maybe, well, 2 residents, 3 if you count Rob, that have been in favor of this. I think that there's my interpretation is that there's people that are very passionate that desire to have this. I think that we still might be in a community though where the majority of residents do not want it and will not be thrilled about it. But where does that, I mean, how do you balance that where they maybe aren't as passionate about the people that do want it? So I can really see it both ways, and I'm on the fence, as I said to a couple of people that came here earlier tonight. So with that, that's kind of where I'm at. So this isn't something that I put on the agenda to advocate for, but Rob very much is. So maybe with that background, you want to go ahead, Rob?
Yeah, I think it makes sense to connect it to all of our neighboring communities that have it. Now that technology's come out, these aren't little 3-wheelers anymore that tip over. They're kind of like little mini Jeeps and whatnot, so I think we should keep the speed at the speed limit so we don't create a hazard of people getting past and whatnot. So if you're going 35 or 25, and really the maximum speed here would be 45 on Hillside or Plainview. Other than that, you'd be in 35 or 25 anyways. But somebody going 25 on a 45 and getting passed by a dump truck isn't gonna be as safe as just riding the speed limit, I don't think. But I don't really see it or foresee any real problems with it. Most people that have these are very expensive machines, are responsible for the most part. And there might be a few bad apples here and there, but they'll get dealt with.
Can you maybe speak to the noise concern?
Well, I think it's no different than a Harley or a motorcycle. And the ones I have aren't any louder than a Harley by any means. Harleys are definitely a lot louder. And we have it in, Dan put it in somewhere that you can't modify your exhaust. So you can't make it louder.
And is it for year round? So it would be year round.
Yeah, I think it was in
Condition
here.
Permitting.
Yeah, and it was in here, you can't go running around all night either. I think it's cut off at 11.
Yeah, sure, 5 AM.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming like the enforcement would be the same thing, like they would, if somebody was doing something illegal, they would get a ticket for it. Yes.
Yep, just like anybody else.
So just a clarification, when you mentioned 35, they can drive on a 45? I want, you know, it's like on Hillside, it's 45 miles away, they can do that?
This is up for us to debate. I mean, how you want to set it. I mean, this is just a sample, but that would be an item for us to reach consensus on if we must wish to move forward.
I'm saying just go with the speed limit on the road instead of setting a blanket speed.
And, you know, I can go either way, just like Matt, because we don't have one. Unfortunately, we don't have one, but I can go either way. And so have there been any accidents in the last year or any issues with it, anything?
Sure.
In the police department, nothing?
I mean, obviously there's accidents just because of increased popularity, but
Yeah,
accidents in cars that we drive in every day.
okay, all right, but nothing to worry about.
And I mean, they're not allowed right now in Lisbon, so we can't really report on accidents with them in
Well,
Lisbon.
you
But
never know what's.
well,
out
yes,
there.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely becoming more popular to the west and north of Lisbon,
Yeah.
and less so to the east and south. I guess Milwaukee has it in a portion of the, but not all of the city.
Yeah, Pewaukee restricted it to area adjacent to the south part of the lake in the city. The only reason it's 25 is because that's the cohesive speed of the posted vehicle traveling speeds, so. I guess if it's my turn, I would be in support of it. I'm on the same page as Rob. I'd rather have one cohesive speed, just so you don't have 2 incompatible speeds, which probably cause a greater danger. You know, I think putting them on the pavement for travel is a lot safer than putting them in the ditches and letting them mingle with traffic that way. So I'd be in support of it. Historically, there's been a lot of squawk about this, but the state law is
lending towards municipalities approving this. I think it'd be fiscally better off to approve the entire village. You know, our southern half is so broken up, I don't think it would really be very popular for people to drive down there, so I couldn't see if we did half the village, we'd have to post half. We'd actually be posting more signage than just doing it village wide, so I think it'd be more fiscally responsible, and then, you know, we wouldn't have any complaints about it. The northern half has it, the southern half doesn't, why, so I would be in favor of keeping the same as all the village roads for speed, as well as doing it village wide.
No, after reading this, this refers to putting signage out, like you just mentioned. How many signs would have to probably go out? And is there an anticipated cost? Just curious.
There would be a cost. I haven't done the full map to figure out where the signs would go, but you'd have to post when you're getting into a new travel route. So if you're coming from Richfield and you're crossing into, you know, from Q to Hillside's a road, so you have to post that.
Okay.
As soon as Hillside ends, then that would be the end of the route. So once Hillside ends at what, 164, or actually it dead ends, right? So
I mean, the
you
way
wouldn't
I-
even need one for that.
So it stopped, and
I think that's,
they wouldn't have to be every single.
that's to Mark's point. I think if you have it, you know, throughout the village, you probably need, that was your point right there, Mark, was that you need it in less places than if you did only.
Yeah, 'cause you're essentially posting the gateways and termination of roads versus half stop here, you can do it, you can't, now you gotta post both sides of it, so.
There wouldn't be as many signs as we have up in the snowmobile trails now.
I mean, it's a different, because snowmobile trails really don't use our. They perpendicular.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know, I mean, I just totally taking a guess, but it's gonna be like 50 signs, I mean, or.
I would assume somewhere between 40 and 200.
I mean,
I have no idea.
And Dan was, I mean, he needs direction from us to see which direction we're going. Before we vote on this for action, he'll have something more to us. If that's, we didn't know if this would hit a roadblock, and there's, I mean, if there was a couple of hard no's, then we weren't gonna spend more time on it and pursue it. And if there's more consensus to move forward with it, then Dan will do more research.
Yeah, so I think we wanted to get an appetite from the board, and then if there was an appetite, then we would send this. Obviously, the attorney has to do a full review on it, as well as doing a cost analysis, and then at the next time we bring this up for formal approval, we'll have all the fiscal impacts. So
I also talked with Dan about we wanted, again, I anticipate that we're gonna get some complaints. Maybe it's not as many as I think, and I know they're gonna come here to the village hall, and they're gonna come to me, and you know, that might come to all of us. So I didn't want to, you know, just have this at one meeting and we just sneak it in. So I wanted to have this at multiple village board meetings. The public did have a chance to come, and then we also thought that maybe having it go to the, you know, Public Works Committee. I thought the Plan Commission, but Dan thought maybe that wasn't as necessary or appropriate. So we do have a joint meeting at the next one. So I don't know how we want to exactly work that out, or if you prefer to take that up with that committee, Mark, or not take that up. But at the very least, we'll be back in front of the full board.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only one sitting member on that committee, but it'd be my preference to leave it just to the village board.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of putting it forward.
Well,
Me too.
All right, so then we're just gonna no action here, but no action, but we're going to, again, you got enough guidance from the board to do everything that needs to be done to potentially bring this back. If we can make April, great, and if not, you know, certainly no later than May.
yeah, it's not a zoning code change, so there's no public hearing requirement. I'll have it ready for April.
that'd be good.
Thank you.
Yep, just sometime.
All right, if anyone has any questions on this, your biggest advocate here is Rob. Dan, I answer any questions that you have as well. And And feel free to come back in April if you'd like. So, and you're welcome to stay for our next hour discussion on parks if you'd like as well.
Everyone jumps.
Thank you.
Right.
So,
All right, have a good night.
Like, you can come up.
Or do you? Mike and Nick, do you guys want to come up here too, or we got a couple extra seats if you want, or why don't you? Because I think we're, yeah. I saw at the earlier meeting that sometimes the microphones weren't picking up everyone, so we want past that mic, that one down there, Dan, or?
Yeah, just make sure the light is on. Like,
That's not gonna get picked up, is it? Or it's free. All right, so item 8A is a presentation by Parkitecture for discussion on necessary action regarding the conceptual park plan options.
Yep, so I think this time I'm just gonna give it right over to Blake. This is Blake from Architecture. So he's just gonna give a,
We can't close the meeting.
yeah, you gotta keep that door open
Just keep it, you can.
halfway.
Yeah, there, yes.
So without further ado, this is Blake from Architecture. Take it away.
Good evening, all. Hopefully the mic is working this time. Yeah, my name is Blake Tyson. I'm the owner and principal architect from Architecture. We're based in Middleton, which is say on the west side of Madison. We do nothing but park, rec, and aquatic facility design and planning all over the state, Midwest, and sometimes the country with the right partners. So tonight we wanted to go through the concepts. I think you guys may have seen some of the analyses that we put together prior. We started this process back in October with our initial site visits and sort of work session with Dan and Mike. So this series of concepts is really the culmination of our site assessments, conversations with staff, the public survey results, and our expertise in the world of parks. So we have done a lot of work in your surrounding communities, obviously first time with you guys, but if you've seen any of the recent work in Milwaukee or the Falls, so and Sussex actually. So I think what we'll do is just walk through all the different concepts first, and then we can talk through the nuances and talk through some of our cost projections and potential phasing opportunities and all of that good stuff. So
we're getting the same message we got before. The voice quality on the microphone is so we just move it just right up to you if you would.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
It's not for us, it's for the people at home. There's still a couple. It's being recorded either way.
All right. Well, maybe it's because I keep moving my head back. Dan, are you? Yes, you're screen sharing. All right. So we'll start with LCP. Sheet 1.0 is the overview of the park. And I made this comment in the park committee meeting, but when I look at a park, I look at it the same way you might view your house. It's a series of rooms with hallways and corridors that connect those rooms in the space. And so LCP is a great example. It is the scale of a facility that is very common at a county level. It's much larger than we normally see at a municipal level. So this is a great example of that rooms concept. So we'll start with the south room, which is building on the momentum of the current diamond that's being finished up. So when Vanna gets back, I'll have him flip over to the next sheet with the overview. But essentially, if Dan, you can go to 1.1. So with the new diamond, we know that there's going to be enhanced usage of the space. So we felt it was appropriate to look at some additional parking beyond what's already there. So the strategy was to parallel the road. There is a ditch line that runs along the park access road. So we're upstream of the ditch. There is a flat plateau there of just general open space now. So that's where we would carve this in. We've got 41 stalls shown that could potentially expand a little bit if needed, but I think it's an appropriate size for what we're proposing. That new parking facility would be connected with an ADA compliant sidewalk to your diamond. A lot of the facilities in your park system are non-compliant for ADA, which doesn't seem like a big deal to some, but for those who need those accommodations, it's a very big deal. And across the country, there has been a movement of some folks who are trying to find these non-compliant situations, bring it to attention, and cause financial burden to communities who are not keeping in compliance. So one of the things I'm trying to do for you is keep you out of trouble and provide best practices for those people who maybe need higher accommodation level. Does that all make sense? Right. Okay, so now we've connected our new parking with the new diamond that is being constructed. With the addition of that diamond, we foresee additional patron loading, which is going to require a higher level of amenity and comfort that your vault toilet is providing. So we're suggesting flush toilets in a new building that is a combination restroom and open air. So right now we're showing 3 stalls per side, so men's and women's would each have 3. The other way to do that is maybe look at family or unisex restrooms. That's a very common movement in public restrooms right now. The western half of
You mentioned that at the last meeting. So I mean, if you don't mind maybe asking some questions, it is.
Yeah, of course.
So would we have, I mean, to me, it doesn't make sense. You would only have 1 toilet in that family concept then, as opposed to the multiple, right? So would you go to like 3 bathrooms then with 1 toilet as opposed to 2 with, multiple?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So there's some math that we would do to figure out what is the magic number of family restrooms versus men's and women's. So right now we're showing 2 stalls in the men's and 2 in the women's. So we might go to either 3 family or even 4 family to take up the same amount of patron loading.
That makes a lot of sense. I almost felt as though from the last meeting that it was that point was maybe, I wasn't sure, it didn't make sense to me the way it was stated. What you said now makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I apologize. For me, this is second nature because I do it all the time. But for those of you who aren't maybe thinking about bathroom design all the time, it does probably make some sense for me to explain it. So I have boy-girl twins. And when they were little, that was a struggle. With my wife wasn't with me. And so, and especially with a lot of the transgender movement, there's a need and a push for more family setups so that you can go in regardless of your orientation. That makes sense?
Would the cost be about the same?
Yeah, it's really a minimal cost. I mean, we have the same number of fixtures. There's additional maybe partition walls, but then there's less internal partition. So if you go into a stall, you have metal or plastic partition. So it's about a wash. Good question. Okay, so we have the restroom node, we have the open air shelter node, and given the high usage of the pavilion on the north side of the road up on the hill, we thought that it was very appropriate to bring another open air rentable space next to the diamonds and next to the renovated playground, which we'll talk about next.
So on that point, Mike, how often is that shelter on the top of the hill used? Can you agree with that it is? It's okay.
That's our most rented shelter. I mean, in summer it's Saturday and Sunday, both days that it's rented. So we're committed to clean it, during the weekend for another rental. But yeah, it's the hilltop shelter is number 1, and the one up here is probably number 2. So
you say that most Saturdays and Sundays from June, July, and August, it's rented? Yeah. Okay. All right. I knew it was rented. I didn't realize it was rented that high. So that did me. I mean, I'd like to hear that if we're going to move forward with something.
Yeah. The other thing that came up in the park committee meeting was the potential of adding a small concessions room to this space with the diamond. I think that's a very appropriate addition. We could also look at a small kitchenette so that if you were renting the space out for a family reunion, a party, you have a place to plug in all your Nescos on a serving counter and have that facility open to you. It would not be a cooking kitchen. That's very important to note. Once you enter into the cooking realm, it triggers a whole nother health code set of rules. We need grease traps. We need all sorts of inspections, so I'm not suggesting that. But I do think a serving kitchen or serving room is an appropriate element to include.
So, and that, I mean, we've got costs here and they're already a little, I mean, they're higher than what we can afford at one time. But is there, and I heard but is there, in the concessions, I think of a concession kitchen as being probably more elaborate than having just a stand with outlets to plug in Nescos, right?
Yes,
Is there,
let me paint the picture then. What I'm envisioning and what would be typical in a setting like this is a room with a series of counters. You probably have one oversized stainless steel sink. You have a lot of power outlets. You might have a refrigerator for your renters to utilize. But beyond that, you don't want to get into having a range, an oven. That again triggers a whole nother set of codes.
Do we want to sync L? I mean, from our prior discussions that
Yeah, we
You
can
might-
we could debate that, but I'm just saying that would be the limit of what I would suggest putting in there.
and the concessions, I mean, the concessions to me makes a lot more sense when you have like a tournament and they're hosting, they got multiple ball fields, right? I mean, here you've got one field, so you're never going to get, you know, a huge from the baseball side of things or softball, whatever it will maybe. I mean, maybe if you're having a disc golf tournament, maybe I don't know, but then other uses. Do you think that? I mean, I want to know a little bit more if what
Well,
the
I
true
think-
demand would be for that.
I think the room is flexible enough that you maybe have a roll-up counter that you could sell Snickers bars and canned sodas to the people playing at the Diamond, or you use that as your family rental space when you have your Nescos and your crock pots and stuff. I'm not suggesting multiple rooms, it's a flexible
Right,
space. Yeah.
How much do we rent this for? So I figure if you add food to it, it's gonna be more cleaning costs.
What is the cost of the
75 and then additional $25 for non-resident.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that's gonna cover the cleaning costs, if we had a kitchen type thing in there. That's more spills of food and this and that and.
I mean, there's an additional charge to rent the kitchen, I would say.
you can make a deposit requirement, and if we go there and it's a mess, we keep the deposit.
Right.
But
Really,
either way,
something to do with
that
that.
cost would go up no matter what.
And can you know, Paula or Dan, I mean, can you guys maybe be in touch with like or you have got a connection over there with the baseball organizations in the area and see if, I mean, if how much they think they would use that if at all?
We can reach out to junior charters and see if they'd be interested in having it.
I mean, the only thing I can
They're
comment is my daughter played softball for many years, and so I've been to these places. With like Polar Park down right in over in Merton. You know, it's soda, water, chips, candy bars, right? And a lot of times the teams will sponsor it, they'll use it kind of like as a, you know, little fundraiser for their things. So I don't see it as like you say, like it wouldn't be, you know, nachos and hot food, it would just
Right.
be.
But again, I've been to the same thing with
Yeah.
one of my daughters, but there's 4 fields there. And that's during tournaments, right? I mean, are they open when it's just a single, you know,
Okay.
field going? I don't
I've
think.
only been there during.
Okay, right. So that's where the differentiation I'm
I
trying to
don't
make
wanna
here.
get into the weeds on it. It was something that Parks brought up, and so I think it's worth discussing,
Yeah, we could
you know,
look
as.
at it.
Yeah, as the footprint evolves, if you guys decide you wanted to do a building at all, I think the floor plan evolves as we discover what your needs really are. So.
Yeah, I think it would depend on too, like if you think that shelter would be more popular to have family parties, like to your point, like, you know, people bring in stuff for family parties, birthday parties and such. Would it be helpful for them?
I think so.
Because what are they doing in the Hilltop shelter right now? They're just sort of taking a table and making a table.
There's a
right?
small pledge. Yeah, let's I believe on it. And then they usually bring a picnic table. Or if they bring like 4.
So for what it's worth, on 1.3, I did a conceptual floor plan for you to show what this might look like. And I did include a stainless steel counter in the open air space that you would have power outlets above. So in lieu of doing some sort of little concessions room, you could just provide an exterior counter with power. It's very, very common. We do it all the time, which may satisfy all the needs. I just thought I'd bring it up because it was a comment at Park Board. So I want to talk a little bit about the playground area. So all of the playgrounds in your system are tired and have outlived their typical shelf life. Hopefully that's not a surprise to those of you.
Most of them.
Most of, yeah, I should say most of them, not all of them. That's right, because you do have a brand new facility. So I think it's time. A lot of communities are faced with the same thing. A lot of playgrounds went in the same era, and they're all starting to age out. Unfortunately, you guys are seeing all but one age out at the exact same time. So Mike and I have talked about some of the priorities, and I think we have identified the worst of the worst. So those would be the first ones to look at. LCP being your premier park, I would put pretty close to the front of the line. What I'm showing here is a footprint that expands slightly beyond the existing footprint, but it is grouped in a way that provides a much higher level of play value for the kids. So each of these colors represents a different type of play. The nice thing about your existing footprint is it sits a little bit in a bowl from where we would propose to have the shelter. And so we'd like to take advantage of that opportunity to introduce some hill play. So I have some imagery here on the right side of what that might look like. Hill play is great. If you've been to Sussex, you've probably seen some of this with the surfacing there and the hill slides, the climbing units. Very, very popular. Kids love it. It's a great way to disguise physical fitness in play. So we do it on a lot of our playgrounds. Playground equipment is designed for two age groups, 2 to 5 and 5 to 12. And so what I'm showing here in blue would be structure geared for 5 to 12. Yellow represents a 2 to 5. Swings are usually the most commonly requested play element on any playground. So the red shows a large swing bank. And then in the survey, we saw numerous requests for sort of atypical play elements like zip line. And so in that pink, we're showing a double zip line. That's a unique piece. I don't know of any parks around. Oh yeah, at the Grove, right? Yeah. So that could be an interesting element to include. A lot of kids like it. The downside of the zip line is it's a lot of square footage for one rider at a time, which is why if we're going to do it, we would suggest doing the double. So at least you have a little bit higher usage. The green would be independent play, which you've seen, I'm sure, at every playground, the spring riders, rockers, some of the things where one child at a time would get on and use. Any questions on this area of the park? All right, Dan, if you can go back to the overview, 9.0. So directly north of this node would be the Hilltop Pavilion and the existing vault toilet. That is really not in great shape. So I think if we move forward with a flush toilet system on the south, I think that the existing vault toilet gets removed and abandoned. Not abandoned, but removed. The other piece right at that number 4 icon, we are suggesting you look at putting in a disc golf course in the park. And we have it laid out in 2 series of 9s. So there's a 9-hole on the north side of the road and a 9-hole on the south. I made the comment at the park committee that the hardest age group to provide amenity and interest to at a rec level is the teens and tweens. And disc golf is a really great way to get them off their screens, outside, engaging with nature. So it goes well beyond just that age group as well. Anyone of any age can play it. And then the great thing about a disc golf course is when it's not, if you're not walking it with your disc, you can walk it with your dog. You can just walk it. Essentially, it's a series of mode trails. And so it fits in very well, I think, with the other amenities within LCP and doesn't disrupt any of that existing infrastructure.
So on your comments here, you've got it listed as concrete pad and basket goals, and then $1,200 per hole. I just was doing a little research and talking to someone. Does that like concrete pad? Is that like that's your 4 foot by 8 foot tee box?
Yep. Correct.
Okay. All right. I was thinking otherwise that it was just for the net area. So, but I understand that tee box is a necessity for this. So I'm happy to hear that's what that is.
Yeah. So there's 2 ways to do it. You can either do it out of concrete, which I would recommend, or you can do it out of either crushed.
Are you looking for something yet?
I got it. We're good.
All right.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, there were some.
So crushed limestone would be the other option. That obviously has a little higher maintenance issue because it will migrate. So concrete is really the best way to go. The only maintenance that comes with disc golf is if you don't do a hard surface tee box, the motion of a person throwing will eventually erode the ground. So highly suggest doing a concrete tee box.
You made a reaction there. I mean, do you have a thought on that? Or I mean, I would assume that that's the preference that you'd have as well, right, Mike?
Oh, 100%.
Is a lot of extra mowing for you then?
Not really.
Okay, so moving on, if you can flip to 1.2 for me, the north section of the park. Felt that there was an opportunity to improve your water access beyond what it is now. You have a small wood platform that is not in new condition. So I think at some point that could be replaced and upgraded, maybe expanded a little bit. And at the same time, we would probably look at putting in a kayak or canoe launch. They make modular units that make getting into the water considerably easier than just schlepping your boat to the rocks or the shoreline and trying to get in. So they're a great amenity if you've never used one. Find one, they're great. Makes it much easier in and out.
So I'm lost on that one. So it's something that gets placed in the water next to the pier.
Yeah, yep. So there's a photograph here of an example what it might look like. So the gangway would connect up either with the wooden pier or with the shoreline directly. And then you carry your boat out, you set it in that trough with the rails, and you sit on your boat and you roll right into the water. So there's no risk of you flipping over.
How much fun is that then?
Pretty fun.
Was there enough water there that people actually use that for kayaking? Because it goes into a cauldron under Lake 5 and then
Which
goes
we're
to a cauldron on Hillside.
replacing, right?
It'll soon be passable under Lake
Yeah.
5, but
I mean, to the south, it would end at.
Yeah, go to the mill pond.
Unless you're rafting.
Yeah.
But that's a decent little
That's
track.
all. There's some pretty decent hike down there without like somewhere to drive your car to drop your kayaks off.
it is.
So you're right, but a lot of people who explore this type of water have little dollies that they just strap onto their kayaks and they wheel them down. They're used to doing this all over the place. There's a huge paddling community that seek out backwater areas like this. So I don't know how many of those live in Lisbon, but who knows?
So the fishing pier scored well on the survey results. I didn't see the kayak side on there too much, but I might have missed it. I didn't look through.
No, that really wasn't a survey driven request. It was something that we observed, or when I was out there from other projects that we've done, we know that backwaters like this are very intriguing to those types of paddlers. So suggestion, take it or leave it.
Mike, have you seen many people out there with kayaks?
People do carry their kayaks down there. I actually had some duck hunters try carrying their boat down there this year. That was interesting to watch. But yeah, I do see people taking kayaks.
So let's say you have this. Is that going to get used by people that are comfortable not just jumping in it, or are they just going to use the pier and go in? I mean, it's coming from a kayaker who just goes, struggles off the side of a pier.
Yeah, well, the pier is going to have railings on it.
Oh,
because it would be elevated above the water like your existing platform is. So you would have to have 42-inch railings on that anyway. So you're not going to schlep your boat over that. You might go around to the side of
Yeah,
it.
we could put like a little mini boat launch type thing in there.
piers?
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
Pier's going to have railings on the side.
Not a pier, it's more of a platform. So it would replicate what you have now.
Oh, okay. Yes, we're not looking at the one on the left. We're looking at the one on the. Okay, I got
Yeah,
you.
but there is, I don't know if you have 36 or 42s on your existing one, but you definitely have railings.
Okay.
Because it'd be considered the fishing platform then.
Correct. Yeah. So that middle image is pretty close to what I'm suggesting. Without the giant concrete over.
Was there kayak access to the mill pond in Merton? Isn't that parking lot by the dam?
Just dirt,
Yeah, so there is a spot to get on them.
not an improved surface, it's in that.
So people, if they wanted, could get to there and then get to here and we'd just be doubling up basically.
Yeah, so again, this is a menu of suggestions
Sure.
For you guys to consider and take. The other piece that's shown on this sheet is an expansion of that lower parking lot. Heard anecdotally from Mike that can get fairly congested at times, so we looked at potentially doubling the capacity and then making a better trail connection over to the bug. So that's what that is showing. And then since the original packet was sent out, there is a sort of an alternate version of 1.2 that shows a 2 pickleball court complex feathered into that. Do you have that?
It's on the
Oh,
screen.
great, yeah. So a little bit about court construction. We will usually try and design courts, whether it's tennis or pickleball, in groups of 2. And so, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, whatever it is. So that's why I'm showing 2 here. You potentially could get 4, but depending on what happens later in this discussion here at this property, I think 2 is probably appropriate for LCP. One of the things that comes with pickleball is noise. If you've ever played or been near a court, there is a sound that comes with that battle on the ball. So that was part of the reason that we looked at this lower area of LCP. It's very much shielded from any of the nearby homes. And so we don't think that the noise trespass would be an issue here. Any other questions on that area?
So I'm just trying to get ahead of things of what I think is prioritizing, always for myself. The parking lot down there. I mean, I admit I only make it to the park. Well, 90% of the time I make it to the park is for an event. So these parking lots aren't filling up, obviously, unless it's an event, right?
There are times when they do fill up. A lot of times, I know I brought it up to Blake in winter. Not that the snowmobile trails are always open, but we do allow access to the bug line while parking down there. So when people bring their trailers, it does get very tight down there. So.
And then we also talked, or you talked at the Parks Committee meeting about the ice skating area. If that was to be discontinued, I mean, is that that could be something that can be converted to parking, I would assume, right? For that area at least, or not necessarily?
I would prefer to go to grass for extra for our festival. If we continue it down there for extra room, because we're kind of tight in certain areas that we need level ground, because where we have like our stage and bottom of the sledding hill isn't very level to put bounce houses and stuff like that, where we had more grass area over there for that.
Okay.
So,
if we had to pick the parking area, well, I think you answered this. The question's been answered well, that we need more parking at the park, even though some people are hesitating about getting rid of green space. But if we were only able to fit in the budget one of the 2, is everyone in agreement that the one up and by the baseball field and the playground is the parking lot that should take preference to being added first?
Well, 100% in my opinion. And I think it would be a mistake to not build that up for parking once that diamond is activated, especially if you renovate the playground. You'll have people parking everywhere.
And I think neighbors have had concerns about that as well. But I guess my sole question is, with that 41 stalls there, I mean, the pickleball, if the pickleball goes in, obviously we need a parking lot.
Correct.
But if we don't do the pickleball right away, the parking lot can wait as well.
I think that's a feasible item. Agreed, if you build the pickleball courts, I would build the additional parking, so it will get used. But the reality is, I shouldn't say no one, but very few people would park in the lower lot and walk up to use the diamond or the playground. They're going to find another spot.
Sure. Right.
So I don't think those are tied. So the other improvement that we're recommending at LCP is the relocation and reorientation of the archery range. So back on 1.0, sorry, I'm making a flip. We would move the archery range from its current location, essentially right across from where we were talking about that parking area, to the east into that far grass area, reorient the shooting lanes from south to north. So you're not shooting parallel with the bug, you're shooting away from the bug. The other thing that we're suggesting is doing an elevated shooting tower, which better simulates actual hunting conditions for archers.
Truthfully, my husband's an archer. That bothers me in the public park personally. having this archery there. I think it's a dangerous thing when you've got kids around, you've got this and that, and.
I forgot we had it, to be honest. I'll be.
Me too. I don't-
It's not well marked, it's not, but it sounds like it's used though, right?
Well, that's used especially in like Edmonton, late summer, bow season starts. I mean, there's guys there every day carrying their bow over, kind of getting dialed in for the season, so.
So it'd be a lot safer, I guess is the point, if we did what they have proposed here than the way it's set up now. Some of your costs I thought were on the high end of things. I mean, that you're the expert, I'm not, but the cost for this was only 8,000 for the elevated, everything, that's a reasonable number there?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it depends on how you do it. The one that I'm showing here is maybe more elaborate than you need. The reality is you need probably an 8-foot platform with one set of stairs. This one it's a pretty picture, and I thought it worked well with actually the context that you have down there, but that's probably more elaborate than I would do.
Okay.
Yeah. Mike said he was gonna build it anyways. Any other questions
Big
on?
one ladder.
I love it that Mike laughed, but Nick did not.
Well, I didn't volunteer Nick yet. He's on the next slide. Any other questions on LCP? Oh, I'm sorry. The other thing I didn't talk about was the introduction of some nature art. You know, I talked about the setting and scale of this park. It is, I think, a great opportunity to maybe include some discussions with local artists to bring in some kinetic art. What I mean by that is utilizing wind power to have some movement and art piece throughout the space. And you said you might have a thought?
I might have someone that might be interested in donating some money for something like that.
You think, have you ever had artists with their name there, that they donated their art?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, that might be a good way. I like some of the stuff that they're to donate it.
Yeah, I think it's again a great way to engage with the art community in your town. So there may be people you don't even know who are very talented artists, and it's a nice way to let them express in your space.
Mm-hmm.
Before we leave Lisbon Community Park, going back to the disc golf, are you comfortable there's enough room there for everything?
Oh yeah.
The point that was brought up earlier from a resident who lives right there was how close it is to the road. I don't know if you have those holes numbered, but the ones I was furthest to this, there's two or three parallel to Oakwood Road. I mean, again, this isn't the final design. I mean,
yeah, this is the concept, and ultimately we would want to go out in the field and walk it and feel out where this would actually fit. But I do think you have plenty of space for both nines.
And this is I mean, relative to the $4+ million of stuff you're proposing here,
this is nothing.
This is right, and I think that it does appeal to a different type of people, like you said before, and I think there's probably some sponsorship opportunities or other I mean, clubs that are involved here that could help out as well.
And that's a great comment. I mean, oftentimes we'll see local businesses sponsoring a hole, and so on, at each tee box you're going to have a hole that says how many yards your basket is, if it's dog leg left or whatever it may be, and then you may have a sponsored by Quick Trip or sponsored by whoever. So it's a nice way to offset the, albeit minimal cost.
But if you've got ask Quick Trip for $1,200 to sponsor a hole, maybe, I mean, that's a number that maybe makes sense to someone like that who's got 3 locations. I mean,
sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
you charge them $2,500 and it costs you $12,000. It's money that you can then put into a bench or something else within the park system. Sure. Always ask for more than you really need to build something. That's what
yep.
Any other comments, questions on LCP? Okay. All right, so we'll move on to Lisbon Oaks. As I mentioned before, there's going to be some repetition of what I'm talking about here. Your pavement throughout your system is all aging. Your ADA non-compliance is an issue, and the playgrounds are largely aging out. So this is a great example of all of those. The parking lot I'm showing to be repaved. Part of the reason for that, if you've ever tried to get in there into one of those stalls on a busy day, you probably had a hard time backing out. Those stalls, your parking lot is 4 feet shorter than it should be in width. Normally, you would have 18-foot deep stalls, 24-foot drive aisle, another 18 as a minimum, so that's 60 feet. And currently, that's a 56-foot wide parking lot. So what I'm suggesting is at some point when that pavement does fail, we push the western edge towards Woodland by 4 feet and repave.
You guys see the comments in the citizens that they want a Costco style parking lot at this park? I got a kick out of that one, but I didn't.
That's not what I drew, but
I didn't realize that was the how relevant that was until you made your comments on the 4 feet short. How close are we to the end of the pavement's life here? Can we get another no, not how many more years can we get here?
2 years ago.
How does this rate compare to some of the others? I mean, this is the park I'd make it to the least because this is a neighborhood park, not a, I mean,
It's pretty much.
yeah, they're all about the same. Stone Family's terrible.
We have soccer fields there and a baseball field there, so you get a lot of people coming into there.
Yeah.
You know, the bigger kids are playing, the little kids are over here, vice versa.
And the only basketball court in Lisbon too.
and we got a
I walk
couple,
by there a lot. It's full a lot, and there's a lot of people parking, and they park on both sides of the street there, which makes it very difficult for cars to get by, and there's tons of people walking dogs and stuff.
I would say a lot of people will park on the street because it's closer to the ball diamond. And the parking lot's kind of shoddy, so most of the time on the south end of the parking lot, you have to walk through water to get to the baseball diamond if it rains, so a lot of people park on the street.
so this one, this field gets used by
Saliva, and I mean, whoever neighborhood wants to use it.
that's a bigger, again, this is the one I'm most unfamiliar with the parks. That's a big parking lot for a neighborhood park, but it's
Well, there's several soccer fields, there's a baseball diamond, I mean, there's a lot going on here with basketball, so. I mean, half of the park is not even shown on this sheet, it's a very big space. Yeah, so
There's a lot of park over here.
yeah, so in addition to paving the lot, I'm gonna urge you to put in this sidewalk or pathway that connects all of the elements within the park to really bring ADA compliance to all your facilities. So the diamond right now is not accessible, the playground's not accessible, your gazebo, really nothing is accessible. So by making this sidewalk connection to everything, we've accomplished that and provided better access. We're not going to fix the water in the ditch line by doing this, but hopefully with the proper dimensions in the parking, more people will utilize that space in the street. The playground footprint I am showing slightly expanded. You can see the white outline underneath the brown footprint of the new playground. That equipment is in very poor shape. There are a couple pieces that are newer, but most of it is in very poor condition. So that should get done. The other piece that we're showing here is potential porta potty enclosure. We're not going to put flush bathrooms in this park, I don't believe, but I think that providing a little bit higher amenity than just the blue porta potty would be reasonable. And it actually lines up great with our ADA parking for service access.
One thing I thought about that one, why does it have to be so far from the play surfaces?
The playground?
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, the porta potty?
bathroom.
I put it there mostly for service, because otherwise you're gonna have the service truck driving up the pathway to get it. I try to avoid that when I can, especially near children's play areas. So that seemed like a reasonable spot. Right now, you have porta potties there now, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so people are used to that location, so it's.
At Stone Family Park, they have to drive down the service road to get the porta potty, so.
I will
That's it,
say, this
12.
year also they have to drive up, but this one I've had them take out branches on the tree, they hit monuments at the 9/11. I would rather have them not have to take a path to get there. Personally,
Isn't Stone Family's path pretty wide too?
yeah, it's at least 9 foot.
Okay.
Yeah, I measured it's 10 feet. So what I'm showing here is a 6-foot wide sidewalk. You certainly could go to 9 or 10, but I think, the 6 foot is adequate. But again, all things to debate.
Is that concrete or blacktop?
I'm showing concrete. you're gonna get longer life out of it. And if anytime you go narrower than 8 feet, concrete ends up being a better cost, because most pavers are 8 foot. That all makes sense. Oh, sorry, the other thing that I'm showing here, and I forgot to mention on the parks, next to the playground at number 6, I'm showing concrete bag toss. So I thought that situating that in between the gazebo and the playground might help parents feel more motivated to get off their phones and maybe do something. We're seeing yard games get introduced into parks quite a bit across the state. So, and who doesn't like to play bags?
You got a nice photo here, but I didn't look it up close to many more than that. I mean, how does it function? I'm thinking of that. You play bags, you got a slick surface and you
polished concrete.
Polished concrete.
Yep.
You bring your own bag.
You bring your own bags.
So that's the only thing that's going to hold a lot of people back. Then, if I don't have those in the trunk.
Either.
Right.
But I mean, it's a neighborhood park, so if it gets out that people know it's there, then they'll bring their bags.
People figure it out pretty quick.
Baseball coaches pack that in their other gear and the parents.
Yeah, it encourages you to maybe spend a little bit more time in the park than you otherwise might have. Okay. And the cost on those is really not that much. It's a nice, inexpensive ad.
Sure.
Any other questions or comments on Lisbon Oaks? Great, we'll move on. Stony Hallquist. So similar elements here, that existing parking is not in great shape, and it's also not quite the right size for stalls. So what we're proposing is actually to expand it slightly to the south. I think we gained 2 extra stalls on that little parking embankment. Move the ADA parking from the north end, connected that up to the gazebo, the diamond, and the playground with a new concrete sidewalk, so that all of your amenities are now accessible. The other thing that we're showing here is replacing your playground and sliding it south away from that north property line. Your current playground is right up against that line. So we want to give a little breathing room to that northern property and get away from some of those existing trees. That all makes sense? This is maybe the easiest one.
Yeah, how bad is this playground equipment? Is there one of them that we're looking to replace? Well, I guess it's just between Stony Hallquist and Lisbon Oaks. Is there one that's better than the other?
Slightly, I would say Hallquist is a little better. I mean, there's that one fire truck from the 70s that's still there.
Yeah, so that fire truck, while it's very cool, it really should be decommissioned as a play piece. More of an art piece, maybe. Because I'll stop there.
Okay.
So would it make sense to stagger putting all these playground equipment in all the different parks? We don't end up with all this going end of life at the same time in 20 years or 10 years?
Yeah, that's definitely a strategy.
Because right now it's like everything's just old and broken.
Yeah, yep. So you could stagger them, do 1 or 2 a year.
And it's not such tough pill to swallow next time.
But I mean, if we're going to do a capital borrow, I mean, it's if you've got a 20-year life or 25, and you scatter them by a year or two, I don't know how much that really scatters your replacement time. You have to scatter them by 5 years or more to have that be sound logic in my mind.
Yeah, what I would probably do, I mean, you're faced with replacing them all. So I think maybe it does make sense to go through one big project and then start looking forward and say, okay, in 20 years, we're gonna budget money to replace one, and then every 5 years beyond that. And so you start to set yourself up for that incremental replacement in the future. But you're to the point where you need to do them all. Well, except one.
Keep forgetting that one.
I'm sorry, which one again?
Stony.
Stone family.
You guys just did a couple of years ago.
So actually, that takes us to Stone Family. So if you flip to 4.0. Yeah, so that playground is great, and I love the precedent you set with the artificial turf surfacing. That is an excellent way to go. It has the impact attenuation, so it has a very high resilience. It has very low maintenance for upkeep, and the lifespan is very, very long. And if you do have a problem, it's very easy to replace a segment of it. Whereas if you have the poured in place rubber, it's still fairly easy to replace a section, but you'll never color match. And so you end up going totally opposite of whatever that original color was, and you cut out some sort of geometric shape where you need to. But the turf is essentially like carpet. You can cut out a square, lay it back down, put the infill down, and you never even know. So it's a great solution for playgrounds. So we're proposing to redo the parking lot, and that one is really bad. It's full of spider or alligator cracks. If you haven't seen it, go look at it. It's very evident. In fact, I had photographs in my initial analysis of that parking lot specifically. When we do it, we'll stripe new ADA stalls for the diamond and for the trail access on either end, connect those up with concrete sidewalks. And then the other big piece here would be the addition of a restroom and open air shelter by the playground. It can also serve the diamond, and it's right at the nexus of the trails that of course you maintain and then Sussex maintains. We're also showing a trail connection to the south to complete the loop to the Sussex Trail on the southwest corner of your property. Nice thing is there is a sanitary main that runs right through the middle of the outfield. So we have a connection for sanitary right there, which reduces the utility cost, but we would have to look at getting water service for that building.
We need a well, obviously.
Yeah. So actually in the cost estimate, I thought maybe we had a water line on Plainview, but I was wrong.
Yeah, most places that have sewer have water. I get
I made that assumption. I shouldn't. So that cost is probably not accurate. We'd have to get an actual cost on a well.
But I think your cost number wasn't, you still had a decent number in there, I thought.
Yeah.
Or wait, no, you have more than enough for, you have $50,000. I mean, a well is gonna cost less than that.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right, because I had to run it a long way, so I guess that all adds up. So maybe that'll work out in your favor.
Is the Lisbon Community Park, is that estimate going to be slightly higher then? Because you have like 10 grand for 2-inch water lateral.
Don't we have water right there?
Yeah, the pump house is
Oh,
right
you
there.
do.
Yeah, so
Oh, okay, never mind.
I had figured a line design is tapped into that service.
Just kidding.
So this
Nice
path,
try.
this path that we have here, the new path, it goes to a dead end in Lisbon, connects to the nicer higher end subdivision in Sussex, and then the network that you're familiar with, obviously, Mike. Does that path, you think that'll get adequately used by Lisbon residents, or is that going to be pretty evenly shared between?
The new path you're saying?
Yes, if we go that route.
I think so. It gives you from the parking lot, you walk down the playground, you can kind of loop back around through my neighborhood, and then back down Forest View, and then kind of loop it back. So I think it's and everyone, from my neighborhood, walking through there all the time. So I think it would work out well.
I mean, I think that'd be nice. I mean, but
well, this actually, even a parking lot up on top where that bulb is.
We've talked about that in the past, actually kind of where that lot line is, cut the asphalt there and then make angle parking. So right now it's kind of people tend to park as close to the shoulder as they can, but then it kind of, you only limited to like 3 cars because people park weird, there's no parking. So I think if you cut it out straight across, add angle parking up there, and then, it's quick access down the playground.
Do like a half dozen stalls or something up there. You think?
Yeah, I think easily you could get that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, I use the grass right now, but it would be nice if it was paved.
You park up there?
I walk through that southern you just described and walk down the grass hill.
He just proved out.
I was waiting for something.
I forgot to complain. No, I mean you lived up there, but as opposed to parking at the parking lot that's there already.
I'd rather that.
This is one that we might consider waiting on and seeing if Sussex would pay for half of this. This is a joint park with Sussex from what I understood with the improvements. So
Yes,
maybe,
we had a joint venture when we undertook this, and Sussex gracefully paid for just about half of what the park improvements for the playground was.
so maybe they chip in for some of the, if we want to do a restroom facility or a pavilion, they might
Yeah, I
be.
mean, we also, there is sewer on Forest Hill that we could, if we move the shelter south of the existing play area. You know,
Oh, okay.
one of the complaints that happens at that park is that the baseball diamond is too close to the parking lot. So everybody parks on the east side of the parking lot, so then the parking lot fills up and you're worried about a baseball through your windshield. I mean, for instance, Monday, the park was absolutely packed in the evening hours because we had Arizona weather up here. But Sussex, Lamb and Stoneman were practicing. And like they even came over to the playground and told people, just so you know, we're gonna start batting practice. So if you're parked over in the parking lot, please consider moving your car.
So I'm really glad you brought that up. You'll see I did draw in some additional trees lining that west edge for that exact reason, because we know that's your prime foul ball alignment. Now it's going to take a while for trees to grow, but at least it was an attempt to acknowledge it.
And is it the fall balls as much as it is the ones that go more back? So maybe it's the northern ones.
Well, it is a foul ball.
It's a 6 foot
It goes
fence.
back.
It's just not a good place for the parking spot.
But taller fencing goes a long way too.
Moving the parking lot would be better. I mean, you could even extend the parking lot to the south and align the driveway entrance with the neighborhood street there. Because it's
Would it be reasonable to move the ballpark? I'm just curious.
Probably not, because you got a fence is expensive, then you'd have to do grading, push it out. Plus, I don't know how much room is to the west. Yeah, west.
You're right at the wetland edge there.
Yeah. So
I do like the idea of pushing the playground or the parking lot down, aligning it with that neighborhood street.
Yeah, I mean, you could even, it would actually make more sense to can the parking lot in line with like the current porta shelter. And kind of do it at an angle. That way you could split the use between the ball field and the parking structure.
Yep.
I mean, that part gets used a ton for what it is. I mean, I go there, I have kids in that age range, so I go there almost every warm day or cold day. But yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised, there's people from all over playing park find figure games, you name it. It's a thing.
Yeah,
Park caching, I think they call it.
Yeah, geocaching.
Geocaching.
Yeah, I could look at how that might work if we moved it. I mean,
Yeah, because I mean,
honestly,
it's
you're gonna have
for
to
that
build
age
it.
range, it's a pretty good stroke if you were trying to hit a home run.
well, if it's in that rough of shape, you're probably gonna have to pulverize it anyway.
Yeah, I had figured on a full rebuild in our cost estimate, so that would. You're gonna have a little bit more earthwork and demo if we move it, but not much. And for the benefit of splitting between your uses, I would say it's worth it, especially if you're gonna put in a restroom building. And a shelter, so yeah, I like that idea.
On the restroom building, time of the year that it would be used, the size, the orientation, you want to touch on those?
Yeah, I think with all the restroom buildings that we're looking at, they'd be 3 seasons, so spring, summer, fall, shut down in the winter. The orientation of this one in particular, well, all of them actually, if you look at how I laid them out, the open air side would be facing any of your roadways. So we're not creating dead space that is not visible for supervision. So this one faces southeast, which gives you great supervision lines as a parent or caretaker into the playground, into the picnic node across the path. You can still sit there and watch the game if you wanted to. If you have a kid in a game and a kid on the playground, it's kind of a nice balance there. And then it would be visible from the neighborhood streets as well. So you're trying to limit unsavory activity. Hopefully that all makes sense. All right, so I like it. We're gonna look at adding parking on Forest Hill, and we're gonna look at moving the parking along Parkview. Correct?
Yeah, and then the Forest Hill, I mean, we're gonna, not much, so.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's kind of,
5 or 6 stalls.
yeah,
That would be mostly planting grass.
Yeah.
You know, that asphalt's in good shape.
so you're saying it's boxing it off, is what you're saying?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and a little bit of striping, so not much.
And that would look more appealing than what we have there now, which kind of, I mean, it was obviously wasn't planned to go. When it was paved, we didn't think it was gonna go through as quickly as it did.
Yeah, might as well make use of that asphalt then. All right, so I'll look at that. Great, all right, moving on. So that brings us to this property. So we're gonna ignore the building that we're sitting in for the moment. We're gonna talk about the other amenities and we'll come back to this building. So, first off, I'm showing a paved pathway looping the full perimeter of the park, getting into different spaces. So we might, in that southwest corner, we might actually have to do a segment of boardwalk because I think it's kind of wet down there. Yeah, at least look kind of wet today. So we'll have to look at that. But the idea is to create a walking loop. That was one of the main things that we saw in the survey results. People wanted spaces to walk, they wanted trail connections. So this was a nice opportunity to give them a full loop around. And we can look at the distance and make sure that it works out to, say, for example, 3 laps equals a mile or some increment that makes some sense that people can get in their heads. This park made sense to look at a larger court complex, whether it's pickleball or pickleball and tennis combination. So currently I'm showing a 6-court pickleball layout. We did look at another option of tennis court and pickleball combinations. And so I think there's opportunity. When you do an overlay of tennis court and pickleball, you can actually get 2 pickleball courts per tennis court with a little bit of extra depth. And so that would push the footprint deeper into the park. But then we would just shrink it lengthwise. So the overall impervious footprint would probably be about the same, just a different orientation depending on what court combination you wanted to go with. And then south of the courts, I'm showing a natural area. So one of my strategies here to reduce some burden on Mike is to take some of the turf area that's currently mowed and put it back into prairie. So you see I have 2 areas here in the space, the southwest corner and northeast corner, we'd be pulling out of mowed turf and going back to a natural cover type. In the southeast corner, we'd be looking to pull out the existing playground equipment, which is in really poor condition currently, and relocate it to where the fire engine play structure is. So it's more central in that upper reach of the park. The existing pavilion that you have up there also is in very poor condition. So that needs to be replaced. So all of the buildings across your system, I would suggest that we look at consistent material palette, whether it's all cedar or cedar and stone, or, some, whatever that magic menu is. I'd like to see all your buildings consistent. So we have some branding throughout your system and they all feel like Lisbon parks. That makes sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, I think that brings me to this building. So I've heard rumor that potentially there might be a new home for this function. If so, this footprint could be repurposed into a more park-esque setting like we've talked about in the other spaces, restrooms and open air space. We already have the utilities here, so it would make some sense to add some restrooms, especially if we're bringing this level of activity in with the court complex. And we know that you're going to continue to rent out that pavilion like you are now. So I don't know the future of this building, but I thought if it's on the table, I would at least suggest an alternate purpose.
So the 325 for the restroom building, that would be this building, that like
correct
the conversion of that.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, we could certainly spend a lot more money on some of these restroom buildings, depending on how crazy you wanted to go with materials. But to get pretty standard cedar type of siding structure, like I've shown in all these photographs, with a small quantity of restrooms, that's a reasonable number.
So
The cedar siding, I mean, it looks nice up front, but I mean, you get woodpeckers, you get other, I mean, you get other issues that I know a lot of people complain. I had a cedar sided house that luckily after we sold it, it's no longer a cedar sided house.
Yeah.
I mean,
Whether it's cedar or LP siding or something, I guess what I'm saying is some sort of lap siding, or you could go to precast concrete. Huff Cut is a Wisconsin company and they make flush restrooms. You've probably been in a Huff Cut. Well, actually, yeah, at LCP, your vault toilet is from Huff Cut. But they have now started doing precast concrete flush toilet buildings. And it's a great solution for parks. Concrete is bomb proof. They're very easy to maintain. You hose them out, you move on. And you can actually have the exterior look like cedar or look like stone, depending on what you want it to look like. It's all customizable. So that might be another option to look at.
and how does that cost? I mean, is that in
Pretty
line?
similar, yeah.
Okay, what you have, okay, all right. But we've got budget constraints, but I mean, some of these numbers, like I'm not the expert here, but seem on the higher end of things. Nick and Mike, I mean, you guys are new-ish, but how aggressive can you guys get with taking on some of the work, with doing some of this in-house to bring down some of the costs? Then we all talk about grants as well. So I don't know, you guys want to, Nick and Mike, start?
I think as far as like when we did Stone Family, like removal of old equipment, playgrounds, that's something easily done in-house. But I think the issue becomes, especially if we're gonna do this all in, like, let's say a 2 to 3 year time frame. I mean, that's like a couple of guys' full-time job at that point, prepping. It's a lot of work prepping the site prep for the playground and whatnot. For hauling in stone, compaction, getting everything set up. I guess a lot at the end of the day.
Like landscaping and lawn restoration. I mean, there's
Yeah.
I mean, that stuff that you'd have no issue doing, I would assume. Or am I wrong there?
Depends on the scale. And I mean, it takes a lot of manpower to do it. It takes equipment, it takes trucking, doing the one park, and that took a month. And then you gotta get a dozer and all that other stuff we don't exactly all have here, so scheduling with them when they finish up one, and then if weather puts us back and we have culvert issues or whatever we gotta do, we get set back, because it's not a lot of us that can go out there and just run a lot of equipment and everything, so, and supervise it, so if they end up jumping ahead of us, it could put us in a big pinch, especially with road projects. You never know what we end up taking on and everything, so there's stuff we probably can help with, but I'd have to look way deeper into it and to see exactly how much of a area we're gonna grade out, how much stone we gotta bring in, I think that'd be something you have to kind of plan with the budget for the next year, see what we got to run for equipment, how much stone we're gonna need to cover costs, so I think definitely have to plan what we want to take on and what we can budget through the next year's budget to do it, because the other projects that you used way more gravel than expected, way more fill than expected, way more grassy than expected, way more rental than expected, so it's doable, we did it, but it's one of those things that's manpower and time and planning it all out and working with them on it, so.
Don't blame me, I'm just the architect.
Yeah.
Like maybe you can speak to that as far, the cost typically go up, but if we do bid all this out as one, or a lot of this as one project, how much better pricing are we likely to get versus if we do, this over a 2 or 3 year period?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question. Oftentimes the bigger projects are going to see better unit pricing. So for example, you might pay less per square foot of concrete the more square feet you have, right? In terms of playgrounds, if you bundle 2 or 3 from the same manufacturer, that's all gonna ship together. So you're paying less in freight. And you might spend $8,000 on freight to get a playground here from South Carolina or wherever it's being manufactured. So I would love to see us bundle some of that stuff together. I think you also get economies of scale if you have a contractor building 2 shelters at a time, right? They're in that mindset, they're gonna go bang them out, so you're probably gonna get better rates. So I do think a bigger project is gonna get you better pricing. And who knows what happens in a year or 2 or 3 from now with the world. I have no way to forecast that.
All right.
5 years ago, we were in a whole different world.
So if we're chasing, Nick and Mike saving us 20-30 grand by doing a lot of the work ourselves, but yet we break it apart and we lose 20 to 30 grand in pricing from doing it at once. I mean, all we're doing is shifting these guys, time. So I think we can take on a park or 2, but maybe not all of them.
I've been liaisoning with DPW for 10 years now, and they're fully capable of doing anything. But I would highly suggest we not burden them with any of those improvements, because it's not reasonable to expect them to have the maintenance requirements that they already have in place, plus put additional work on them. You can go to their shop any day and they're not sitting around, polishing their boots and watching TV. So, I don't think it'd be fair to them to put this project on them. They're a maintenance function of our community rather than a construction. They do a lot of construction that, I look back at like the compost site. They did a great job with it, but it was tough on them. There was service impacts because we were undertaking that project. Not that they couldn't do it, but they only have so many hours in their day, and they only have so much equipment that we have on hand. So I think it would be a huge disservice to our entire community to embody them with undertaking the construction of any of this.
Do you think you wouldn't even want them doing what they did at Stone Family at pick one of these parks?
Having been around for that, that was a lot of commitment for a staff that's already tapped on available hours. There was projects that got pushed off because of it. It was a bigger project than just moving around dirt.
It's not
because you run into headaches.
Yep.
Like with that, like you ripped out the equipment and there's bedrock. There's a lay of rock and you have to break that out of there. You don't have that right now. So is that anything possible? Yeah, you do it, but I think the time frame, I'm assuming based on how you guys want to do it, is there's no way you're doing a park every 2 years that we could somehow manage to keep up with it. You're going to want to do half of this, you're going to get going and do another park, but you're doing this other thing at the other park. Like we'll be chasing the whole time, and let alone something comes up on our end of road work that what do you do then? Do I tell him to stop for a while and so I can catch up? I don't think it's gonna happen.
I just look at like unexpected consequences of large brush years. 2 years ago when we had the huge influx of brush, we were 80 calendar hours over what we normally would.
You get flooding, you get a storm that comes in, you get culverts already going to be a chasing battle. So, and I think we're taking on more responsibilities on DPW than we originally did, just for kind of prepping roads for crack filling and chip sealing more, and trying to fix some bigger issues we currently have. So, I'd like to help with it as much as I could, but I don't want to agree to something that.
We gotta be realistic.
What about things like tree planting events?
Yeah.
Like that. You guys.
I think that's something we could manage for sure. There's plant trees, we have machines to auger holes and all that. I don't think that's exactly an issue.
Well, no, we need to be budget conscious. $20,000 or $30,000 over the total cost of this project is a small percentage of it is fine.
Well, and
These other companies would have the exact equipment they need, the expertise to do it. Not to say that, again, you guys couldn't do it, but they have all the stuff that's necessary. We don't have to rent anything.
And one hookup, screw you on the $20,000-$30,000 savings. Something bad could happen with the machine that we do, or get us behind, or something could always happen that in $20,000 $20,000-$30,000 is much that you can just lose in a week. So.
Yeah.
It's kind of gamble with that, I don't know.
There's-
Play.
When you are working with other contractors, you're kind of under the gun on the time frame of, you know, they need to get in here next week to do, you know, concrete curbing for it or whatever, and we have a tornado that
Right.
night and, or, you know, prior, and they're doing another round of brush pickup, whatever happens.
Yeah, I mean, I just look at like some of the flooding events we had, that 2 years ago. I mean, look how much
3 weeks.
just picking up logs out of culverts and replacing washouts. I mean,
That was last year.
that last year.
So
So
it's one of those things, they put more hours in than we do. Hours during the guys, 12, 13, and we ain't gonna. I mean, realistically, unless you want, I mean, we go for overtime, but you're not gonna keep up managing with them. You're just not. I mean, there's no.
And they're specialized.
Yeah.
You know, they do this every day. That's all they do. I think it'd be huge disservice to the entire
And
community.
you got 2 guys that mow half the year, so you cut back on mowing. You got our normal stuff we have to get through every year, so. You know, it's, people take off in summer too, so I mean, it's one thing you. Tight on staff, and then it's something kind of just, you're not gonna force them to work through the stuff when they. Yeah.
Okay to say no.
Would you be willing to do a car wash to raise money? Or- Something like that. I think there's other ways you can cut money by, you know, if you don't need a kayak launch, or if we can push the archery tower maybe to a budget item that we can put in our regular budget. Maybe we don't have to put it in here. There's
Like fundraising for specific things. I mean, if there's clubs, there's Eagle Scout projects, there's a lot of other stuff. There's, you know, you would mention that maybe some of the businesses around might wanna.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to, one of the parks is named Hulkwist, right? It has the name Hulkwist in the name, so I'm trying to get a contact for somebody over there to see if they might be interested in some type of donation or whatever. I know Landon Stone is here tonight. There's Mike, you mentioned company that, or Doug Brahms group that might be willing to donate some funds.
The Lions.
Yeah. Maybe even at community festival, we can say, you know, something about the project, and if you're interested in donating or something, if we have a
Yeah.
group that might be willing to take on that type of fundraising event.
So there's other things. The pickleball community is, I think, an untapped resource. Pickleballers tend to have resources, and they're very passionate about their sport. So that would be a group that I would maybe try and connect with. We had a 12-court complex in Marshfield that was 100% paid for by the pickleball community in a city park. And that was not a small lift for them, but they did it. So the other thing, there are some grant opportunities out in the world that might pay for things like the ADA launch or the fishing pier at LCP. Most of the grants in the park world will pay for passive rec. They're not going to pay for the active rec, you know, like the courts or the playgrounds. So, you know, we need to find that nature-based stuff that those grants will cover.
Do you check into that?
Yeah, we do a lot of that grant writing. I actually gave Dan a list tonight of some opportunities. Most of them had a deadline of March 1st. So that's an annual rolling deadline. The T-Mobile grants is another great opportunity. 5 years ago, they pledged, I don't know, $25 million or something to pay for park improvements in small communities. And I think that's sunsetting this year. So I think the last cycle is actually March 31st of this year. So I don't know that we'll get there. But I'm hoping that they renew that program because it's been very, very popular. So there's other opportunities out there.
I think we need to make a priority list and just start crunching numbers and really get into the thick of it. Yeah.
Or like you say, if you want to build it, you get the same contractor to do the buildings. So if you get a better price, is what I'm hearing, rather than doing everything in one, you know. Yeah, keep the same theme in each part.
We're also applying for a grant for the Lake 5 Bridge And I mean, fingers crossed, I don't know if we're gonna get it or not, but it funds at a 90-10. So that, $900,000 road project might be 125,000.
Yeah.
So everyone cross your fingers for the next 2 months that we get it, but
Yeah, and I do want to make the point that these are our best estimates of what we think it'll bid at. Based on all the other projects that we design and bid out, but who knows? Right, oil prices keep climbing, asphalt's gonna go up, trucking is gonna go up, everything changes very quickly in these unknown times, so. As of right now, this is our best estimate. That's the best we can do, unfortunately.
Well, I think we need to keep on talking about this. I mean, as long as we have Blake here and let's kind of go through park by park and see kind of what the priorities are and what they aren't.
How much do we expect for it?
2.2, but figure 200 of that's going toward engineering, design, bidding, all that cost. So 2 million.
So, but is that? So and Blake has soft costs in here. Is that that's separate or on top of?
No, so
that?
I always carry a percentage for soft cost, and usually that's high. But that's just the best way that we've determined to do it at a concept level. We just carry a straight 8%. And we're usually well under that, but for sake of discussion, that's where it's at.
So if I add up, I don't know how much you guys have run the numbers and looked at priorities and all that. Before I jump in, has anyone else, I mean, kind of prioritize their list of items or run numbers?
I'm gonna come to a grand total. I didn't want to. I looked at each park individually.
I mean, I think the grand total was, I did some math here, but I'm thinking I left out the 115 I needed to add on for the pickleball courts was 4.75, and plus the pickleball would be, take that up to
4.9.
Yeah, almost 4.9. So we need to get, I mean, let's say we're at 2 million, we've got 300,000 in impact fees, that's 2-3. I'm sure we can get, I mean, there's other monies out there and all that stuff, but we need to be, I mean, we can't be at 5, we need to be closer to 3.5. I mean, at the best case scenario, I mean, with everything else, to me, the easiest thing to get rid of is here. I mean, we're not, this town hall is not going away tomorrow. So I would see that we cut back on almost everything here and say we tackle this park in 5 years.
Can we wait 5 years to do that? Is my question.
To do the park or get out of this
To
building?
do the park stuff here.
So I will say that the playground here is one of the worst. So there are likely things that need to be addressed sooner rather than later in that playground.
Shelter also.
The shelter is not great. It's like this. But there are a lot of other things that we showed in this park that certainly could be deferred. But that upper area, I mean, again, back to not backing yourself into a corner, you could replace the playground, replace the shelter, and not prohibit yourself from doing anything else in the park. That's sort of its own space.
So to me, I'd like to, if we do the, I mean, I think that you said you break it into families, break it into rooms. I mean, look at the east side here with the bathroom facility and everything else. That's, I mean, you kind of have that, well, it's insert A there.
We'll kill all that. What we're talking about now is just replacing the equipment and the shelter.
Well, insert A is everything there. It's everything besides the courts.
Well, if you just took out this building, that's what, 360,000, so that gets you down to around 900K for this park, and that would include pickleball courts. You could lessen the number of pickleball courts you have here down to like 2 or 4. That'd reduce the cost a little bit. And then think about, do we need every little park to be done? Can we defer some one of the smaller parks, Hallquist, does that one get used as frequently? Can we, I mean, or can we get?
Actually get used? Their counters.
Opinions.
I'll sit out there all summer. Yeah.
I'm just curious to see. If something used all or.
Well, if you're going through, I mean, we were asking about, you said the Stony Hill Quest was not quite as bad as you thought Lisbon Oaks was a little bit worse. Right? Is that what, did I hear that right?
Park equipment. Well overdue.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's, when you go to a park, what's it to play on equipment for kids and everything, I think. You know, like what you said, talked about here, you know, the pickleball courts, that's something or not, but the hazard or issue is the playground equipment and the shelter. The rest of the stuff you could wait on, then you could just do that right away, and then you know for sure your parks part. Now you didn't add anything on, you just replaced what you had. And it's sufficient for however many years you want to wait till. Whatever goes on with this or whatnot, but all the other parks, I mean, kids play on the equipment, so. You know, that's the main attraction, you know,
Yeah,
of the
but-
baseball season.
I think at LCP, you certainly need to make that restroom facility a priority.
100%, yeah.
Before we start dissecting everything, let me ask you this, in general. Do the concepts as a whole in each park make sense to you? And then we'll talk about phasing, or are there things wholesale you want out? We should start there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess park by park, for LCP. I think we do need a facility that meets the needs of what the park's gonna be used for. I don't think the shelter there hits the ball, if that makes sense. Yeah, like that baseball field largely was driven by a private donation to get going. So there's obviously a need for that space in our community. So that's essentially why that field was birthed. So I don't think a shelter supports that, because it doesn't have concessions abilities. It's just not, I don't think that's a good use of a shelter there. I think it would be better to put a Four Seasons building that we can, I mean, we don't have any space in our community that we can rent all year round. And really, you know, you want to throw a party for your grandma in December, you're not coming to Lisbon for it, because we just don't have the space to rent for it. So I mean, and then I think we could do better with that. Plus, that's our destination for festivals that we can't launch them. I mean, Paula knows we can't launch any more of our festivals into the next stratosphere because we're limited on amenities. We don't have flush toilets near where we host our community festival. You know, our Easter egg hunt would be better well attended if there was a bathroom close to it, because it's largely little kids and they go to the bathroom more often, but there's no bathrooms up there, so.
But the shelter is the bath.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, if you're gonna build a structure, like, let's not just use it for 4 months of the year.
It's like what you were talking about.
Let's get 12 months of use out of it. You can put automated codes on it with, I mean, you're.
Now we're adding costs, we're.
No, I know, but sometimes you need to add costs to get value.
I don't think we're that community that's having I wouldn't support that. I think that's putting too much on the staff. I think our residents, I didn't see a single comment about anyone asking for something along those lines. We had how many comments, responses did we have? I mean, you thought the response rate was decent. I mean,
Yeah, I thought it was pretty well intended, actually.
I think the shelters, the bathrooms, the courts, and the fishing pier were the priorities from those results.
To get a 4-season building that is rentable, that is worthy of renting for a space, you're gonna be in $1 million for that building. Pretty easily.
Yeah, I just got this place.
Well, I mean,
I don't know, I don't disagree with you, but I'm just saying that's where we would start. It's about $1 million.
And I think if you build it, they're gonna use
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't think you build as beautiful all in them. Just use that, you know, if you build it, you're gonna find a use for it. It's like Stone Family Park before we replaced that playground. It was now every night of the week it's packed, you know, I mean.
But if you're using, if you're there and your Saturdays and Sundays are full right now at Lisbon Community Park for the shelter, if that's full, I'm not the same customer who's gonna want the enclosed building. I'm gonna want an outside, shelter for my kids' birthday party or the graduation party. I don't want to be inside a building in summer.
But look at myself, my daughter was born in January. I would have loved to have a place where I could, you know, when she was 3, throw some bounce houses inside and.
Could we add those
Well,
outdoor heaters to the?
But this board was scared about opening up our fire station room with proper. Why do we want to go down that route for a $1 million building specifically for this at the park?
I'd love if money wasn't an object, I'd love the idea of doing this. I think it would be fantastic. But we gotta consider the cost here too.
Can we put those outdoor heaters on the
Bottoms.
ceiling? Open air buildings, kind of like how bars have outside.
Well, yeah, I can't remember Kathy had suggested those that have the rolling doors, you can make them indoor, outdoor kind of things.
Yeah, you can, it's not the same as a
Yeah,
four
it's not a
season.
true 4 season.
It helps take the edge off.
But you should be able to get to at least November. That's an outdoor one.
So the restroom building, you got it at $450, but that doesn't include. There's other. There's the utilities to it, and there's the restroom foundation wall. So we're that's a $500,000 building.
Yeah, by the time you put in the septic.
Everything else all in. The way I was looking at it because Lisbon Community Park is the crown jewel. We need to spend money and upgrade that park. So that's, I think, where the majority of our money should get spent. But I think we should make an investment in all the parks, not just in one, because the people on this side of town, let's say, that's a haul to get to, and it gets used. Gets used by more people from Merton than it does people from this side of town.
You're right.
Could we build the shelter? Could the shelter be built with in mind in 10 years to enclose it? Like it's open now, but it's gonna be built. I don't know. I'm just.
It's gonna cost you more to do that.
Well, I think Mark's talking about a building that's further, it's closer to the community fest and maybe down in that hole over by like the.
Moving it
by like the ice shelter or by the ice skating rink and
well,
that area.
I think that's a great idea, but community festival is once a year.
Yeah.
But baseball diamond is going to be used all summer, so you're going to put the flush toilets down where we really have a festival once a year. I think they need to be closer to where you're going to have.
Well, the other question is, do we move the community festival so that the ball diamond is not used that day? You've got a pretty big flat surface there. You've got restrooms, you've got pavilions. Maybe we look at moving it.
You can put the disco and stuff down there.
Yeah.
We could even swap that prairie area down to where the ice rink is.
Well, I think the festival is big enough where you can kind of maybe use it in both areas, right?
Yeah, spread it out.
And right now that area there is where the parking is where it will be again for this year. Right where the parking lot is where we use. So either way, you're going to need a park line. You're gonna for the community fest. You're going to have excess parking needs to even with these expanded lots.
We'd be flipping. You'd be do all the parking down below that and have the festival up top.
It's an interesting thought though, moving that up top.
Good.
That whole outfield is open. There's no fence.
Yeah, there's just scrub trees that are in the outfield.
The only issue is electric. For like the bounce house, the cooking, all the electric there is kind of condensed into the pump house.
Yeah, but if we're doing a new building, we're gonna have new power. We could easily accommodate that.
Okay.
I forget about the building, the shelter down below. Does that ever get rented really, or not?
Not very.
No.
The ones that do rent that are like larger companies that, because it's more private down there. They rent that out more, but as far as the average person, not really.
I like that idea, throwing on.
Switching things around.
I still like the idea of a baseball game or softball game during the community festival, but okay,
We're gonna have it up there then, but yeah. that'd be good.
fire versus police or
But you have,
All this space behind the diamond too, you could spill out, that's.
like you mentioned
pretty
earlier,
this way.
that you have that building and the shelter oriented towards the playground and towards, I mean, and all of that. I mean, how important is that? I mean,
Oh, I think there's different ways to do it. We've done some buildings where you have the middle section is your restrooms, and then you might have an open air piece on either side. And that gives you the opportunity actually to rent both halves independently. Or one is always open, one is rentable. And maybe if you are moving the festival up here, maybe that makes some sense to look at that.
I kind of like the half and half idea, 'cause if we're already full every weekend, and summer, then you can have two people, one on each side.